Hi everyone, my name's Dan and welcome to another Prima webinar. Today will be the first of 3 contract related webinars, and we'll be starting off by discussing contract creation and the different ways in which you can do so. So the things we'll go through today are how to manually create a new contract for a customer and add items on line by line manually. We'll then go through how to add items to a contract using the customer price check function, and then how to also add them to a contract using a outstanding quote or sales order. We'll then go on to discuss the kind of pricing relationship between the parent and child companies if the items are on contract for both. And then we'll talk about another frequently asked question, which is how do you copy a contract from one customer over to the other. We'll finish up by going over how to import a contract, so putting all the items onto an Excel spreadsheet and then uploading that directly into Prima. So if we start off now, if I just search for a new customer in our database, and once you open the company details record, you've got a button on the right hand side here. So as they currently have a contract, it says contract/pack lists, but for a brand new customer this would just say create contract, and you click that and it takes you directly into that contract. Once you're in it, at the bottom you can see you've got a message to click here to create new record. So if I give that a click, you can then insert a product code on the left field or a description on the right. If you enter the code and hit search to load it in, you then have the normal options that you're used to when editing a contract. So what's the sales unit going to be? What's the pricing type? Is it standard pricing or is it markup margin? And then depending on the pricing type you select, you can put in a selling price or a markup percentage. Once done, just click outside of the red box or hit save in the top left, and that will load that item into the contract. You can add another line if you want, just by clicking this add new button in the bottom right of the screen, and just rinse and repeat until you've added all of your items on. Another way you might want to do it is using the show history button. So within here you can get rid of the product filter in the top right, and using the price history tab, search for previous sales for this customer. So this is a brand new customer, so there's no related sales for this one, but you could search by item within the last 12 months, hit search, and then all items will appear in the grid below. We have got a separate webinar on this customer price check function, so feel free to check that out, in which explains how to use it in more detail. But essentially you can select as many products as you want that you've searched for, and then add items to current contract using that button at the bottom. And they'd all load in straight away into the contract. A couple of other ways that you can do it. If I come out of that contract and go to a outstanding quote or order, you can see at the bottom of this particular quote there's an add lines to contract button. So if I was to click that, what you've got here is information about the product, whether or not it's already on contract or not. If it is, it'll tell me what the contract pricing type is. Is it standard pricing or is it markup or margin? And depending on whichever it is, it'll give you the selling price or the markup percentage. And then at the end, it's got selling price and markup based on the current quote that you're in. If you were in a sales order, the button's exactly the same at the bottom of your screen. It says add lines to contract, and this window, the add lines to contract window, is exactly the same as well. You can see it's got an action to perform column. So if it was already in the contract, like this line is, it'll say update contract, and if it wasn't in your contract, it'll say add to contract. And then you have the option then to add or update whichever selected lines out of this grid that you want, using the selling price or the markup or margin. So if I just show you quickly on a sales order, it's exactly the same. Not that one, find this one here. So you can see there you've got add lines to contract, and if I click that, only difference here is this item isn't on a contract at the moment, so you can see the next 3 fields are blank. And therefore the action to perform is add to contract rather than update. So in Prima, like you might have seen, you can have parent companies set up as well. So if I click into this company record, you've got a parent company field here. So if a company has a parent company set up, if this particular company doesn't have an item in their contract but the parent company does, it will use the parent company's contract price instead. So it'll always look for that company's contract first. If it can't find it, it'll look to see if the parent has it in their contract, and it will use that. So their own company will always take priority. So another one of our more frequently asked questions is how to copy a contract to another customer. So all you need to do this is create a sales order for the customer that you want to copy the contract of, and then you want to use the price check function in the top of the screen. Once you click that, go to the price history tab and select the tick box all contract and hit search. When you've done that, you'll bring up all the items below which are in that customer's contract. So you can see at the moment there's 82. So just for this example, I'm just going to take the top few and add the items to the current sales order. Once you've done that, they'll go in at the contract price for that customer, and you can overtype the company in the top left. So in this instance, if I use the webinar company and select that, it'll ask you if you want to change the record, the company for this record. So just click OK, and then it'll ask you if you want to recalculate the prices based on the new company. So here's where we want to select no. We want to keep the pricing the same as the contract pricing that was on that sales order. So now we have all those 5 products on the sales order for the webinar company at the previous company's contract price. So all's left to do now, the same as before, use the add lines to contract button, and you can highlight them and add them using the selling price or the markup margin based on that sales order. And that's how you'd copy a contract over from one customer to another. Nice and simple. The last thing that we'll discuss is how to import a contract. So I'll bring up now, we've got this template. So we have got guides on how to do this, which include this template. But all you need to do is add in the account code of the customer, the item code you want to add to the contract. You can miss out the invoice description if you want, it's not compulsory. And then you need to fill in the unit type, pack size, and then the selling price or the margin, depending on what pricing you want to use. Only things to note, obviously if you have 2 lines for the same customer, rows 2 and 3 will both have the same account code, and then you'd have your different product code on each line, and then the relative unit type, pack size, and then selling price or markup margin on each one. These 2 columns sometimes can catch people out. So the unit type either has to be a each, so EA, or has to be pack. If it's EA, the pack size will always be 1. If it's a pack, that might be it's a pack of 50, you just put 50 in here, or you put 10 in, etc. And then once this is populated, all you need to do is save this file as a CSV, and then put it into the Prima v6 folder, into the imports folder on the machine running your EDC. And once done, that will go into Prima, and it will create the contract for that customer. So might be a bit more, might be a bit quicker if you're doing a large contract for a new customer. You can kind of sort it all out in Excel, do your pricing within here, and then you can just upload it rather than having to. It might take a couple more clicks to do it within Prima. That just about wraps it up for today. Thank you very much for listening. If you've got any questions whatsoever, feel free to give us a call on the usual number or to pop us an email, and we'll be happy to help. Cheers, have a good day.